What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Badi. This is a clip from the YouTube show, so please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and give me your thoughts in the comments section below. Without further ado, on with the show. And that's a fair point, and it brings us to a nice transition because let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Like we said, just a few weeks ago, the fan base was calling for him to be benched in some segments of the fan base. But again, he's led us to a 6-2 record. He is having a year where he's thrown for damn near 1,700 yards. He has 20 touchdowns total, 1 interception on the year. His completion percentage is really high. And he just came off a game or 2 weeks of games where he's thrown 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he's basically had just as many incompletions in the game as he's had touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, entering the bye week. And I already know what you think of Jalen Hurts because I've heard you on the post-game show, and I already see where the sentiment is going. But what do you think of Hurts, number one, amongst the other quarterbacks in the league and just in general? And also, do you believe that there's anything different about Jalen Hurts this year versus in years past?
I will answer the second one first because I think the next one has got a lot of meat to the bone.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that Jalen Hurts, I think he's actually has a really great platform here, considering that he has now won the Super Bowl, not necessarily playing his best. Like, what's one thing that I love about Jalen Hurts is that he never lets anybody box him in. Mm-hmm. He's always working on his game. He's never satisfied. That's a winner's mentality.
That it is.
And I think he hears the criticism. I think he hears how people think that he's not that great of a passer. And I think he hears that people think that he's a one-read quarterback and stuff like that. And those things, being a one-read quarterback, is not permanent. The only thing that's permanent is your God-given ability and your talent and your strength, the body that you were given by God, right?
Right.
So Jalen obviously is very gifted physically. Like, the man can freaking bench press my house. Like, he could squat my house. Sorry, I don't know about that. His bench pressing isn't as much notable. But
with
squats,
that AC joint injury might be a little bit of a problem. But yes, I get
it.
Yeah, right.
like the dude is a freak, and he's just a tremendous athlete. And he is probably, he is the only ever mobile quarterback to have won a Super Bowl, really, outside of Russell Wilson. But as Russell, and I feel like maybe
like a guy who's known for his running more so than his ability to throw the ball down the field. Because Russ was always able to throw it, and like people described him as a guy who could run. Like, Jalen Hurts is a quarterback who quote unquote runs, but it can pass. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's to your point. How to describe him.
So my thing here in general when it comes to these things is I've never subscribed to this because I just feel like it's just way too easy. And I get a lot of people just get obsessed with passing. A lot of people nowadays grew up with Peyton. You know, they grew up watching Aaron Rodgers, watching Tom Brady.
Yep.
They, for them, watching Drew Brees, another one.
Yeah.
A lot of them just think, that in order to win, you need to be a great passer. And of course, being a great passer is incredibly important. But one thing that people are forgetting is the evolution of the game. And if you look at what teams are looking to draft nowadays, they're looking for quarterbacks that can do everything. Josh Allen is a phenomenal passer, but what also is Josh Allen? He's a refrigerator. B, he's an incredible athlete, and C, he's a great runner. And so Lamar Jackson, right? He's won an MVP. So look, these are the last 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, what is he? Electric runner, an incredible athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Look at some of the players that we picked number 1 overall in recent seasons. Those guys are dual threat quarterbacks. Like, look at Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Dual threat quarterback. That is what NFL executives want. It's the next evolution of the game. It's being able to be so versatile that you can beat teams in so many different ways. That if it's 3rd and long and the blitz is coming and you see a space that all of a sudden the quarterback can go run, pick up 15 yards on 3rd and 10, and you're like, fucking shit, how the hell did we stop this guy?
Right. Honestly, to your credit, dude, like look at all the quarterbacks in, like you said, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, even Baker's a playmaker who can roll out and get some first downs if he has to. Aaron Rodgers made a whole career of being able to buy extra time. Big Ben, same thing. Jalen Hurts. You mentioned Jaden Daniels.
I mean, our old quarterback, Carson Wentz,
right?
Before
Exactly.
he got dinged, like.
Dude, Jackson Dart for the Giants. I mean, like all these guys, Jordan Love can buy time with his legs. Like every one of these guys is going out there and being able to extend plays with the league. Drake May, same thing. All these teams are getting quarterbacks who have wheels. So again, to your point, like you said, it's the transition of the quarterback position now.
Kyler Murray, by the way, another one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I just feel like it's a very old school sort of style of thinking that I'm trying to move myself away from. I in the past believe that you need to be a great passer because in those eras you had to be. But in this current era, especially with the type of defenses that teams are playing as well, it's a lot more. There's a lot more zone nowadays in the NFL.
Right.
And when you have a running quarterback, you can exploit that because that will leave you areas to beat teams on the ground, not necessarily with your running back, but with your quarterback. So like that for me is like something that I've never really kind of seen when people try to criticize Jalen Hurts saying he's not an elite quarterback. What I see in Jalen Hurts is, by the way, now, when you were asking about the evolution and how he's doing it now, all of a sudden, people were saying he's a run read quarterback. His arm isn't that good. His accuracy isn't that good. And as you said, his completion percentage is through the roof this season.
Yeah.
You see the last 2 weeks. And by the way, he played the last one without A.J. Brown, who has been bitching all season. Now, of course, we'll get to that.
Right.
And he throws a dime to Jahan Dotson. Devontae Smith was amazing in that game. Dallas Goedert was amazing in that game. I mean, I'm a bit annoyed that we traded John Mechie because I think he just added another sort of talented receiver to the weaponry, and I just confused by that move. I'll reiterate that again. I was not happy with that at all.
It's funny.
He's being able to spread the ball, which is
right.
maybe one of the reasons why AJ is so pissed off. Because before it was AJ or nothing. Even with Devontae, there were many games where Devontae would literally be so quiet, but it was AJ. The year that we imploded, what was the narrative?
He had that 6-game stretch where he had like 100 NFL record of 125 yards receiving. He was the catalyst for the offense when we were going on that winning streak. So
that's what annoys me about the AJ Brown thing.
Right.
And so all of a sudden and by the way, I got to give credit to Kevin Patullo because they had 10 days to reevaluate how they wanted to run the offense. And the offense against the Giants and the offense against the Vikings was vastly different. They noticed the weakness in the Vikings secondary, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go air it out. Jalen Hurts, we're gonna go for 300 something yards because we've exploited their biggest weakness on the back end." That's something that Patullo was not doing earlier on the season, which is like, we've got this one structure of an offense. We're gonna go through it regardless of the opponent, ride or die, and that was what was annoying me about Patullo. It was annoys me about Nick Sirianni in general, which is why, I felt like our greatest success was with coordinators that we brought in externally.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. We can say Shane Steichen because he was brought in alongside me.
Yeah, no, but like when he's not involved in the offense, or when they're not directly hands-on involved in the offense, and they let the coordinator kind of do their thing, you see a little bit more nuance, right?
Which I think this is, by the way, saved Patullo. Because Patullo himself, I don't know if it was in coaches' meetings and other coaches kind of came to him and were like, "Hey, we've got some ideas and maybe things you can kind of do with the offense." But Patullo himself, I think, has finally been like, "You know what, man? I'm an offensive mind myself. I'm going to write a playbook that I feel is good, that works well for what I've got, that exploits the weakness of others." And you saw that right away with Minnesota, and Jalen Hurts was able to execute it. This is the thing that's annoyed me, right? Jalen Hurts has never been a bad passer. Last year, that kept being the thing. Saquon Barkley was on a historic Historic. If he played the last game of the season against these very same Giants, he would have broken the record.
Yep.
Like 100%. And then he continued to do it in the playoffs until, of course, we got to the biggest game of the season. And what happened? What did we do in the biggest game of all? Once again, Jalen Hurts absolutely destroyed Kansas City, pants them to the point where they gave up. And I know that this quarterback is somebody who's got this ability in him. We've seen it time and time again. And then this is the trap that you get stuck into. Let's take a look at the stat sheet. Oh, Jalen Hurts threw for 103. Jalen Hurts threw for. It's like that's not on Jalen. That's on the plan of the coaching staff. They rode Saquon Barkley. Teams couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. So why the hell would we go away from something that was working? I always knew that you could turn to Jalen. Jalen has always had this in his locker. This is why I've never gone out and said, "Oh, he's a terrible passer," and he's a winner, and that's the most important thing. And yes, I will say this now. We'll transition to the second half of your question.
Yeah, sure.
I think he's actually the best quarterback in the NFL, and this is not just. I just thought about this, and I want to say this right away.
Yeah.
This is over 2 years of watching everybody play. Being the greatest, what made Tom Brady the greatest quarterback? Tom Brady never had the best stats, right? But Tom Brady, when it came to winning time, I wouldn't pick anybody else over him if I must win this game to save the planet. And I go back to that point that I just said, where Jalen Hurts has lost 2 football games in 400 days. It happened to be in a span of like 4 days. So can you imagine if you remove those 4 days?
Yeah, right. Out of the 365 that are in the year, 360 of them are basically him winning the damn game.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's shown that he can lead the gang and win the Super Bowl. And this passing thing is ridiculous because he wins the game through his legs. People thought he was having a bad postseason. If I recall correctly, against Los Angeles Rams, he made like a 30+ yard touchdown run to open up that ball game.
Yep.
Like he wins the games with the leg. He is a playmaker. He goes out of the pocket. He picks up first downs by any means necessary. Yeah. And yes, sometimes the offense isn't rolling, and you can look at a sink, but everybody goes through that. All the best quarterbacks go through that. Like. This is an Eagles team that's got so many great weapons on it that he doesn't necessarily need to carry the burden and put everything on him and unnecessarily, because the quarterbacks who do that don't win. And every single time, and I know me and Xander went back and forth on this 2 weeks last week when I said this, and he's like, well, the quarterbacks go against our defense, and Jalen Hurts goes against the other team's defense. So it's not really them on them. But I'm like, but I've seen them on the same football field when we played Baltimore Ravens last year, and Lamar Jackson, who was, the MVP at the time, and a lot of people thought he would be the MVP that season too. And Lamar Jackson was not making winning plays. I actually think when it comes to crunch time, he doesn't make winning plays. Like, the other one, by the way, is Patrick Mahomes, and I don't want to remove Patrick from the conversation. So when I say I think Jalen is the best, I think he's the best right now. But I think it's him, Patrick, Josh. But again, for Josh, he also needs to be able to stand up and make.
If we're going to critique Lamar Jackson, someone can argue the same for Josh Allen too.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
So for me, it's Patrick and Jalen. That's why they played each other twice in the Super Bowl. Jalen has a monopoly over the NFC. That's what drives me up. I know Baker's playing really well, and I have much respect for how he's revived his career and the narrative on him as a human being. Like I love people who are able to mature and self-evaluate and be able to better themselves, and that's something I respect about Baker very much. So I want to say, because I was not a Baker guy. I've completely gone 360 on that. I enjoy watching him play football, and I actually do think that Baker has the potential to make winning plays. Again, he needs to prove it. He's beaten us in the playoffs, for instance. But then the very next week,
he's always been a playoff performer. He's played well in the playoffs.
But I still think that Jalen's got a monopoly over the NFC, and he every single time he goes head to head, against the best quarterbacks, he, for me, when you're watching the two on each side, looks like the one who's making winning plays. He looks like the one who's more calm and collected, and that includes Patrick. That's why I have him one, because when we played Patrick, by the way, he's now beaten Patrick Mahomes on, I believe, 3 straight occasions.
Yep.
So none of them, by the way, have been in Philly.
Right.
And the one time,
Super Bowl,
the one time he
Kansas
played him
City
in Philly,
twice.
it was his third start of his career for Jalen. The third start of that his third game of his first year starting. Right.
Right.
Since then, he's played them 4 times. He's 3-1. The first time it was in the Super Bowl. I thought he was the better player. I thought Mahomes was limping around in that game. Again, Mahomes made the winning plays at the end of the ball game, and that was a learning curve for Jalen. It was. He understood. I reckon he sat there for 2 years thinking like, fuck, if I only didn't fumble the football in the first half, I would have had a ring that day.
Right.
And even then, he made up for that. Then he turns around and he throws a 60-yard bomb to AJ Brown. Yeah. He turns around, he by the way, with his legs, gets the Eagles back into the ball game, ties the ball game with a 2-point conversion through sheer will. And I still believe that if he got the ball back, we could have won that Super Bowl.
I agree.
The James Bradbury call was massive, and you can't put that on Jalen. Then he's gone to Kansas City, beaten him the very next season. Then they got their rematch in the Super Bowl. I don't even need to say much more about that because we all know what happened. And then this season, once again. And for me, I'm like, I just think that he's the best quarterback. And everybody is trying to come up with every excuse, every criticism under the sun to undermine all the great things that he's done instead of appreciating something that's great in front of your very eyes. I was started off this podcast saying how much Donovan McNabb was an icon and how much he was my favorite player growing up. Jalen Hurts in my adolescence has surpassed him because for me, he's got what Donovan never had, which was a winning edge.
Right.
And yeah, I think I put him number 1 over all quarterbacks. And I've never been a stats guy, especially regular season stats guy. And you've got to applaud them because it's important. But for me, it's always the most important stat is, did you win?
Right.
So anyway, I feel like I've gone on a long monologue. I don't want to bore the people, but
no, you're good, man. Hey, listen, I think because that kind of encapsulates what Jalen Hurts is in a nutshell, right? Like at the very end of the day, from a fan base perspective, the thing that he does, as well as anybody in franchise history, and as well as any other quarterback in the NFL, is win big games and perform in big games. His stats can be whatever. He might be 30th in passing or whatnot, but at the end of the day, when you're 6-2, coming off a Super Bowl championship and potentially in a position to go ahead and go on a run to repeat in the NFC, that can be wide open. You're in a pretty good spot as a NFL.
I will say that game after the bye is critical in terms of the positioning because Green Bay right now is at the top. Mm-hmm. We got to go to their house, beat them, get that tiebreaker, move to the top, because I do think that it's very important once again that the NFC playoffs runs through Philly. And we didn't really get to do it the first. We did, but we didn't have the first seed last year. I would like to, without relying on any other results this year, have it this time around. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.